Well, hello everyone, hey everyone, and welcome to season 2 of the Love Meets Joy podcast on the Smile Train Podcast Network. And for our listeners, if you haven't already figured, this one is live. Hi guys. So, hey everyone, I'm Ballou, Smile Train's Community Development Manager and the CEO of Real Sophisticated Joy and a motivational speaker, and I'm so excited to be here with you all today.
And I'm Barbour. I was born with a bilateral cleft lip and palate, just like Iva was, and I'm the creator of Cleft Love, where I spread awareness of cleft and I share my journey of self-acceptance. And today we are so excited to have Lucy Capo-Rome here with us today. And she has such a long list of amazing accomplishments. She was also born with a bilateral cleft lip and palate. She's a retired nurse practitioner. She's an advocate for older adults with facial difference. She's the author of Lucia's Story under the pen name Bella Lucia. She's a poet, and she spearheaded Smile Train's support for the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. And we just couldn't be happier that you're here with us today, and we're so excited to have a little conversation with you.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
So, Lucy, with that extensive resume, all that you do, did you ever think in your cleft journey that you would be here on a stage in New York City talking about your cleft journey?
No, but I did have a wish that someday I would.
Well, I love that. I'm all about making moments happen, so congratulations on that. Welcome.
That's so exciting. And I know for many of us, there was a moment in which we sort of identified with cleft as a part of us, or there was like a moment of acceptance of the cleft. So I'm curious about maybe that moment for you, and also like when you decided to start sharing your stories publicly.
Probably in about my 20s or 30s. I used to walk with my head down, and I used to think I'm less than other people, so I'm just going to go with the flow. And then I finally woke up and did some things. I pursued my career. Getting my education was my ticket, and also just getting interested. And in fact, in my early 30s, I started a support group for cleft-affected women back in 1983.
Wow.
It lasted for 2 years. We went to each other's house because that's what we did. We had snacks, and we talked about what we needed to talk about. So it was a wonderful experience. So that's what helped me to get out there, just to start talking about it. Because when I was a child and when I was born, it was such a shock back in the 1950s that there was a lot of shame, and there was a lot of embarrassment and anxiety, and my family didn't know how to handle it. And unfortunately, that H word was used, hair lip.
Yeah. And something else that I feel like I've picked up sort of anecdotally through the cleft community is that because there's so much shame and sort of self-esteem issues when you're born with cleft, a lot of us end up in relationships that are maybe less than ideal because we think that no one else is going to want us, or that like we're not good enough for something better. Yeah, so I definitely have like heard a lot about that.
But I love what you said, Lucy. I had the pleasure of talking to your husband, Dick, in the lobby, and he kind of mentioned that, of the fact that the reason why he loves you so much is because being born with the cleft, you could have easily just, as you said, continued to feel less than. But you mustered something within yourself, and he was just like, that's the essence of her. And I was just like, oh, that's good. That's so good. And so that's a testament to you too, Lucy, because you said you knew that your education was your ticket out. So tell us about that. You became a nurse practitioner.
Yes, I initially went to a school of nursing, and then I got a diploma in nursing, and then they said in the mid-70s that by 1985, nurses needed to have a bachelor's degree. So I turned around immediately and went right back to school again because I knew I wanted to go on. And then when I was in my undergraduate program, I met a famous nurse theorist. Her name was Martha Rogers.
Okay.
And she sort of poo-pooed nursing going into advanced practice. But then I met some other people And that's when I knew I wanted to be a nurse practitioner. I thought about medicine, but I like to talk to people and be with them, and I just wanted to do that. And so right after I got my bachelor's, within a few years, I was going back. Then people did treat me at times because of my appearance. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I said, watch me.
Yeah, yeah.
I went ahead and I went on and on. And so, again, it was my ticket because I felt better about myself each and every time, because as a child, I didn't have that advantage. There was a lack of tenderness and support when I was a kid.
Yeah. Did you feel like once you became a nurse practitioner that your experience growing up with cleft and having so much patient experience, being the patient, do you think that that had an impact on how you were able to do your job as a nurse practitioner?
Yes, very much so. I was always told that if you want the job done, ask Lucy.
Go to Lucy.
Yeah.
I was always very dependent to get the job done, no matter how dirty or clean it was.
Yeah.
Because I got into some situations that I helped my patients, my clients get out of, from battered women to human trafficking to you name it, all kinds of things that I've done over the years. So I feel very blessed. And I even, like, physician, Lucy will do it.
Yeah.
And I took care of him because he had a patient that he didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I did.
Yeah, that's something that I think for those who didn't get the chance to be here live today with us, it was talked about all day, of the fact that with our class, we find a way to be resilient. There's so many of us here that are in the medical field, social workers, or just the kids that are coming up. Zeb mentioned that his son has a voice and he's using that voice to help those. And you did the same, Lucy, for yourself. And then I know when you were training, you were like that person that everyone could rely on, and it made you a better trainer. Do you have like one moment that really stood out to you in your training?
Yes, I have a very sweet story that I'd like to share. When I was a nursing student at a major children's hospital in Pittsburgh, PA, where I was living and training at the time, and there was a little boy, and he had a cleft lip and palate, and he was on the ward. We were on the evening shift. He kept crying, and he just had, at that time they used this bow with tape to hold the lip together after surgery. He kept crying and crying, and his mother left for the day. So I picked him up, and I carried him on my shoulder with a diaper on my shoulder, and I didn't care how bloody it got from his tears. I carried him all evening while I did my work until he fell asleep. So I will never forget that, because I was able to give to him at that moment.
You've been such an amazing advocate for this community, from, you know, little babies all the way on up, and it's just incredible. And as we mentioned earlier, you've really been a champion for the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. And for any of our listeners who are unaware of what the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act is, it's a bipartisan piece of legislation, and it would require that insurance plans cover all necessary services related to diagnosing and treating birth differences, which would also include cleft. ELSA would also extend coverage to all medically necessary treatment to include both dental and orthodontic coverage, and it would extend to all ages, and it would ensure that the medical provider is the one that would determine if treatment is medically necessary, because as it stands now, we know that even if a medical provider says, you know, this treatment, this surgery is required and medically necessary, the insurance company is the one that ultimately gets the final say. So I'm curious how you first found out about ELSA, and then how you know, when you brought that to Smile Train and what that process was like.
I was, for some reason, I don't know if I was on my phone or TV, but there was a reporter from CNN, and this was exactly on March 16th of 2021. I saw that and I went, wow. I said, I gotta get this out. So I actually spoke to Troy, and that's when I got interested. I said, this is something that we need to do. Because my history is the same as very, very many of you in the audience, that in 2002, I had to have my prosthetic bridge work replaced, and this was in Kansas, and I actually wrote letters, and the state representative for the insurance companies said, nope, we can't do this. And so I didn't go as far as I probably should have, but at the time, It was $14,000, and so my husband and I took out a loan.
Yeah.
Then it happened again in 2014. I had to go get it replaced, and my dentist referred me to a maxillofacial prosthodontist who works with clefts, and it took him 3 years because we had a lot of challenges.
Okay.
And it was going to cost $27,000.
Wow. Okay.
So my prosthodontist, God love him, he went to bat for me, showed them pictures, and it got done. The insurance company paid for it. But it was my major medical. You know, you still have the dental. So now I have the same one, of course. They each lasted about 14 years. So I thought, well, we got to get this done because when I get this replaced, I want to have some coverage. So
Yeah.
that's another reason why I'm really passionate. And I also think about the women that I've talked with on Facebook and other places that, you know, do I buy groceries or do I pay for the health care of my child?
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that.
I have to have money to live.
Yeah.
So this is what I think about every day when I talk to them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's amazing.
And so, along with all of her many things, or when she's not traveling with Dick, he going to different places because they do love to travel. You guys have checked that out. In September, you are going to go to the Day on the Hill,
Yes.
which again is you championing for Elsa and for those for yourself, but for the rest of us in the community. And can you speak a little bit about that? Because this will be your second one or third one?
Probably my fourth.
Fourth.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, I think we did it twice for the Congress and once for the Senate.
Yeah.
So and this is with the Ectodermal Dysplasia Foundation. On the 12th, they're having a virtual orientation. And then on I think it's the 18th in the afternoon, they're having speakers and registration. And then on the 19th is on the Hill. And what's cool about it is that they're going to bus everybody up to the Hill, and you know we're all going to try to represent our states. And I'm going to be helping with other states because my state, luckily, has been covered by both the Congress and the Senate of Kansas. So that's what we're going to do. So it's a really cool opportunity because you get to network and meet other people and hopefully keep working at it. So
Yeah, and there have been, you mentioned that you've been involved for several years, and can you explain a little bit about the process, about like why, you know, it's been ongoing for quite some time?
Well, I know that when it first came out in 2018, it didn't go to the floor until 2021. And what's so cool is, you know, it's Senator Tammy Baldwin is the first person who actually started this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So then it just went on and on with Congress and just kept going and representing your state, telling your story. The most important part of everything is just getting in front of these people and telling your story.
Yes, and if it doesn't become law at the end of the year, then you restart the process the next year. And so that's why it's so important to get so many voices and so much information out there about this because we really want people to champion that. So
And so for the listeners, even if this comes out after the Day on the Hill, you can still reach out, you can still be an advocate, and you can reach out to Lucy, because I'm pretty sure she's going to be off and doing some new amazing adventures. So what's next?
Yeah, what is next for you? Do you have, I mean, you had that laundry list of amazing things you've already done.
Well, I'm actually doing a fun thing next month. Next month I'm going to be meeting my half cousin. I only met her for the first time last summer, so she and her husband are going to be meeting my husband Dick and I in St. Louis. And the cool thing about her that I found out through DNA ancestry is that she and her son and her 2 grandchildren all had a cleft of their soft palates. And so we have this new bond. So that's my next
Adventure.
trip.
I love that. So before you didn't know that you had any family history of cleft,
No,
Yeah.
but I know.
That's so cool.
No, I did have a sister, and she was a year younger than me, but she passed.
Yeah.
But that's it. So I'm really happy about meeting this cousin again. We already met, but
Right.
it was just so exciting.
And to share your cleft journeys and to talk about the similarities, because as we all talked about today, there's certain parts of it that's so similar, but then there's differences, and to have that family bond takes it to another level.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Because we're not going to run on, because we do see our producer looking at us.
Oh, all right. You think he's getting cranky. He usually does that sometimes.
He hasn't given us the wrap-up sign yet, so we're good.
I know. I
we
feel
haven't
we're
gotten the
still
wrap-up
good.
sign.
I
Okay.
think we can still chat it up
Okay.
a little bit. I want to keep you as long as I can, and
Yes.
as long as he's not giving me the signal.
Well, I'm open to any questions that you have. I'm open.
Okay. Well, can we get like 2 questions from the audience?
Yeah, does anyone have any questions
That they would
from
like.
Lucy that they would like to hear about her experience?
Anything.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Lucy. Can you speak a little bit about the day on the Hill, how that's going to go, in case anybody in this room is feeling inspired to sign up? Thank you. I'm loud. Just a little bit about how that will go. What is the most impactful if someone would like to share their story? Just what will be the most effective course of action to take on that day?
Okay. I do know that the Ectodermal Dysplasia Foundation, they will hold your hand, and on the 12th of September, they're having a virtual meeting, and they will go through what is going to happen. They're going to orientate you so that you feel comfortable. And then the neat thing is that they have right now, and I think it's going to be closing soon, but they're actually offering stipends for families if they want to go. So they can afford it because of the hotel. There is reduced hotel rates, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be like at another Westin, and it's in Alexandria. The other cool thing is you fly into Ronald Reagan Airport, and they do have a shuttle for that. 'Cause you know how shuttles
They
from
do.
airports
Yeah.
can be very expensive, or Ubers, taxis, and all that. So that's another thing. They're going to be giving everybody a T-shirt. The other thing is the day before, on the 18th in the afternoon, they'll still be registering people, and they're going to have guest speakers to build everything up. So they're really going to hold people's hands because, again, the major part is just telling your story. And when we did it virtually, it was all the representatives of the employees of either the Senate or the House of Representatives. We never got to meet any of them directly, but this time we may. I don't know that. But what I like about it is, and they're going to be complimentary with your meal the night before, the next day. So they're being very, very supportive, and again, they will hold your hand and explain everything you have to do, and they'll, how they're timing and all those good things, that you have to do at a meeting.
Nice.
Is that all?
Great.
So helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I have another one too, if there isn't one in the audience. So I am just wondering, what do you think that you have seen the most growth in? I don't know, within the cleft community. I mean, I guess even the cleft community is new. So I know that you advocate for older adults who are born with facial difference, and growing up in, the 50s and 60s was much different from today. What do you think is sort of, I don't know, one of the biggest changes that you've seen?
What I like about it is the social media
Yeah.
part of it. I think it's been very, very helpful because my age group, a lot of my friends, they don't do Facebook.
Yeah.
They just don't do it. And so I think that's been major to help us all connect. I mean, I'm in the women's coterie group, and so many women, some of them are here today, which I'm really thrilled because I've gotten to meet so many of them in person.
Nice.
I mean, I've enjoyed hugging everybody last night, today.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun meeting them in person.
Very
so
nice.
there is a connection,
Right.
and so I think that's huge. That's
Yeah.
because again, back in the 80s when I had my support group, we got to do it through the University of Pittsburgh Maxillofacial Clinic.
Okay.
The social worker, got
Yeah.
everybody's permission to share names. And then we started that group with 2 other women, and we called our group Looking Ahead.
Oh.
In fact, I still have the notes and all the, everything that we did, so, yeah.
That's nice.
So beautiful.
Okay. Well, in line of, as you said, of being connected, Lucy, if anyone is interested in connecting with you, where can they find Lucy?
I'm on Facebook, of course, and I also have another, I'm on, my other name is Lucy Author, which is on Facebook, and I have an email, it's called hello@Bella, BELLA, so that's my other email.
Great. And thank you so much for being here. And
thank you,
thank
Lucy.
you all for listening and joining us on our very first live podcast
Thank you,
session.
guys.
Like, this
Thank
is
you,
so
thank you.
exciting, and we really appreciate that you've been here. And thank you so much. We feel very blessed that you joined us today.
Thank you.
Yeah.